Hey guys! So I've been interviewed for the Faux Time podcast, which is now Ham Radio 360, as well as for the Amateur Radio Newsline. And both of these interviews asked me if I've ever experienced sexism in amateur radio. Today, I want to answer that question. So I've been in the hobby for about 2 years now, and I can think of 3 instances that I attribute to sexism. Now, the first happened pretty much on my first day in the hobby. So I had friends in college that were licensed, and that's what got me interested in being licensed. So the summer after my freshman year, I found a testing site that was local to me. It was at a library that I'd never been to before, so I got there early, probably about 30 minutes early because I didn't know where the room was. I found the room and it was locked, so I stood outside of it and waited. And standing there, I had my pencil case in hand because I wanted a calculator for the test, and I had my cell phone. And on my cell phone, I was going through a practice exam app. And as I stand there, I was the first one there. A few people started showing up, and there were a few more people, maybe 3 or 4, waiting outside of the room with me. Then the VEs came, and when they came, they opened the door and people started going in. But when it got to me, one of them looked at me and said, "Are you in the right place?" So this was kind of discouraging because there were at least 3 other people there, all of which were older men. Now, not old, just older than I was, and none of them got asked if they were in the right place. So obviously there was something different about me that set me apart. And there were only really 2 options. I was younger and I'm a female. So I go in, I shake it off, I take the exam, and I feel pretty confident about the exam, and I hand it in, and they grade it pretty quickly. I think I was one of the first people to hand it in. I'd been studying a lot. And they grade the test, and then they look up and they go, "She aced it." Now, here's the kicker. I couldn't tell you if it was surprise or if it was just, "Oh, cool, she aced it." It's one of those things where you really can never know what's going through a person's head. But to me, at the time, after having that first instance, it just kind of felt like it was surprise. And that just another thing that really did not encourage me whatsoever. So the second 2 situations were pretty similar. They both occurred at Hamfests. So the first one was at my first Hamfest. This one was about 45 minutes away from my house. It was a big Hamfest for the area, and I didn't want to go alone, so I brought my boyfriend. And my boyfriend at this point was not licensed. He had no interest in the hobby, and we had talked about it. He had no interest in getting licensed, but he was an electrical engineer, so he was interested in seeing the market and the things that were for sale. So he's driving, we get there, and we pull up into the line of cars. There was a line of cars to pay, so you would pay in your car instead of at the door. And as we get closer, we get up to the guy, and the guy looks in and he says, "One?" And at this point, I'm like, "No, I'm licensed." And he's like, "Oh, you're licensed too?" And I said, "Yes." Now, at this point, I wasn't really thinking. I was kind of caught off guard, so I should have said, "No, I'm licensed, he's not," but I was just like, "Yes, I'm licensed too." And so he was like, "Oh, okay," and then did the 2 tickets, and we went on our way. So it was nothing overly big, but it ties into the next situation. So the next situation, this is a year later, there was a Hamfest, a small one, held at actually my grammar school. And so I really wanted to go, so I brought my boyfriend again, and we are in the car, and he is licensed at this point. I believe he's licensed, or he was about to be, but either way, he was interested in the hobby. He was ready to get licensed. He wanted to buy something. So we pull up, I'm driving, and it's the same situation. You pull up and then you buy your tickets in the car. And I'm driving, we pull up, and they're like, "Oh, okay, 1?" And I'm like, "No, 2." And flashbacks to my first Hamfest, exact same situation, different people, different place. And this guy, to his credit, he looked at me and said, "I'm so sorry for being biased." He realized his mistake and apologized, and it was fine. And I was like, "It's not a big deal. It's fine. Thanks." And we went on our way. So these might seem like small, insignificant situations, but the fact that I had it happen twice, almost identically, at a different place and in a totally different year, kind of suggests that there's something else at play. So I don't think these people were trying to be malicious towards me or call me out simply because I'm a female. I really don't. What I think was going on was unconscious bias. Now, we all have unconscious biases. I mean, we have conscious biases too. If you ask me what I think a typical ham is, I'm going to say an older guy with cats, and whether or not that's true, we have to understand that there can be other people in the hobby that don't necessarily fit that mold, and we shouldn't exclude someone simply because they don't. So I understand that it's incredibly hard to stop doing something that you don't even realize you're doing. But I really want to challenge the amateur radio community to be more aware of the fact that this unconscious bias exists. So the next time that you see someone that does not fit the molds that you have of someone in amateur radio, you don't immediately count them out of the hobby. Because, to other people, that can be really, really discouraging. Now, for me, I'm a woman in engineering. I've experienced things like this before. I shake it off, whatever. It doesn't really affect me that much. But to other people, experiences like that, especially on the first time they're really being entered into the hobby and trying to take the test to get in, that could be really discouraging and a big turnoff and really turn them away from the hobby as a whole. I just want to make it very clear that I have had experiences that are the opposite of the ones that I described today. I've had plenty of very, very, very positive experiences in the hobby, and I would never let small things like that discount those experiences. I just wanted to use my voice as a young female in amateur radio to just share some of the experiences that I have had in an area that could be improved. So I really want to hear what you had to say. So whether you agree with me or not, whatever your experience is, I want to hear it. So make sure you post it in the comments below, or you can also post on my Facebook at facebook.com/KD2GTM. You can tweet me at twitter.com/KD2GTM, or you can email me at kd2gtm@gmail.com. So a few videos ago, I mentioned that I had a big announcement. Well, today is the day that you get to hear that announcement. Today is my last day in this apartment. I will be moving tomorrow. So now that may not seem very exciting for you guys. How does it affect the vlog? Well, it does. I am going to have my very own ham shack. I am going to have a more permanent ham shack. So I'm really, really looking forward to building it and setting that up. And I'm going to document every step of the way on this vlog. So stay tuned if you want to see that. A lot of changes are coming soon. Things might be a little crazy. I really don't know where I'll be vlogging for the next few weeks as I get things set up. But, bear with me and I think you'll really like it. So thanks for tuning in today, and 73.